Well, when we think about national security threats, the first thing to come to mind probably isn't a phone app, but the head of the CIA is worried about just that with the app TikTok.
I think it's a genuine concern, for the U.S. government, in the sense that because the parent company of TikTok is a Chinese company, the Chinese government is able to, insist upon extracting the private data of a lot of TikTok users in this country, and also to shape the content of what goes on to TikTok as well, to suit the interests of the Chinese leadership. I think those are real challenges.
Burns calls it, quote, troubling, and warns families to be, quote, really careful, in his words, when it comes to kids using TikTok. Nearly 20 states now ban TikTok on their government devices or networks. Virginia, Montana, Idaho, and Wyoming are among the latest. And right here in Washington, the Senate this week passed the same kind of ban for federal devices. But it's not clear if the House will do anything. The U.S. military, State Department, and Homeland Security are all limiting TikTok. So what about the rest of us? Tech reporter Stephanie Humphrey joins us now. All right, so Stephanie, why are these officials and tech security experts saying we need to get TikTok off our phones and tablets?
Well, I think the main reason, thank you for having me, by the way. I think the main reason is because TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, is a Chinese company. They're based in Singapore currently, and they do have to comply with the Chinese government's requests for personal data. If the Chinese government was to make that request, they would be compelled to comply with that. So the idea that federal employees or government employees in general could have TikTok on their work phones and have information on those phones be compromised is a valid concern, I think, for people in this country.
It's one thing, though, if it's a government employee, right? It's on their work phone. But what about a teenager who's putting up funny videos, right, of dancing or, whatever the case may be? Why should they worry about what the Chinese government could see on their phones?
I think the worry is probably a little less for sort of the average consumer that might be using TikTok currently. I think the main concern in that instance is the way that the algorithm works and the fact that the government could have some sort of control over what people actually see on the app. So the idea that some content might be censored, but also that misinformation might get promoted, especially to younger people who don't have a good sense of digital literacy, or who may not have a better sense of digital literacy, could be susceptible to manipulation with the content that they see.
All right, so here's how TikTok responds. Quote, we are disappointed that so many states are jumping on the bandwagon to enact policies based on unfounded, politically charged falsehoods about TikTok. It's unfortunate that the many state agencies, offices, and universities on TikTok in those states will no longer be able to use it to build communities and connect with constituents. Do you see TikTok being able to overcome doubts about safety?
Yeah, because I think every other social media platform has done the same thing. I think with the amount of people on the platform right now, we're close to about 1 billion users worldwide on TikTok, and with the amount of creators that are making a living on this platform and connecting and being educated on this platform, I think it's going to be very, very difficult to convince people that the security risk is high enough that they shouldn't be on it.
All right, Stephanie Humphrey, great to have you on. Thanks so much.